For the longest time in my life, I thought that all of Hinduism is encapsulated into the Bhagavad Gita.
That's the capital misconception of Hindus.
And I'm saying this with a lot of respect for the Bhagavad Gita. And so are you,
Yes.
right? Let's talk about the Bhagavad Gita in general first. Then let's talk about this misconception.
I love the Bhagavad Gita. I have multiple, translations or commentaries on the Gita that I keep from my own references. It's a fantastic text, but it's a text of Vedanta. You have to understand. I mentioned this initially. Hinduism is a religion path of multiple texts. It's like a library. Okay, so you go into the library, you see the catalog, and you decide, "Ki I want to read books on geography." So you go to the section on geography. I want to read on physics. You go to the section on physics. If you read a book on physics and say, I want English literature from this, then you are messing up things. That is what has happened with the Gita being taken as a universal thumb rule for all kinds of sampradayas. Gita is wonderful and a terrific Vedantic text. In fact, it is such a high level text that to internalize the Gita is not at all easy. It's one thing to read the Gita, it's another thing to implement the instructions that Lord Krishna gives to Arjuna in someone's life. That's very, very difficult. It's a text only the highest of sannyasis can internalize in their life. Reading is not enough. It is not a book. Gita is not about mantra japa. Gita is not about just reading. It's about internalizing that into the smallest of activities in your life. And it is so tough that very few people are of that kind of an inner makeup. Because Vedanta, which is the end of the Vedas, Anta means end of the Vedas, is a very high philosophy. It is a philosophy, in my opinion, it's a philosophy fit for the best of sannyasis. It is not necessarily a philosophy that an average person on the road can follow. For them, and it's, by the way, I don't mean when I say Vedanta is for a select few people, I do not mean that it is the only, therefore, there's a human mind tends to compartmentalize things and say, oh, so it's very high, so I only follow Vedanta because I want the highest thing. No, that's absolutely foolish. It is one path for us, for general people, for everybody. There are the worship of the deities that has been popularized. Even the Vedantic sampradayas, the Shankara Mathas and all that, if you observe how they do ritualistic upasana of deities, that's like the fuel. The philosophy is your car. Without the fuel, it is not going to run. And the fuel, at the end of the day, comes back to the upasana of deities. So even if you don't understand the philosophy fully, if you have a solid practice of connecting to a deity over years, it is going to bring about a transformation. End of the day, the goal of dharma is to transform the individual.
Okay. What's written within the Bhagavad Gita?
It's a communication between Lord Krishna and Arjuna in the battlefield when Arjuna is facing a dilemma. Okay, Arjuna is facing a tremendous dilemma that till now the war was building up. There's a conflict between the brothers, and it reached a point when all negotiations of peace have failed completely. Okay, Krishna finally announces that now it is going to be war because nothing else can be done. So he goes there, he's in the battlefield, and then he suddenly sees that the other side comprises of his own relatives, people he has grown up with, his own gurus, in fact. In traditional Hindu Dharma, guru is very high. You cannot, you cannot attack your guru or you cannot do anything. But this text is so powerful, it creates a setting where Arjuna is a man of action. He is like a man who's very dharmic, who is very he's not an intellectual. He's not the guy who will sit behind a desk and contemplate things. He's a man of action, and he's a terrific warrior. He's a dharmic warrior. He is faced a dilemma where he has to fight with his own relatives, with his own gurus, and not just fight, perhaps even kill them in the battlefield. And then he is confused in his mind, and he tells Krishna, who is the divine, who becomes his charioteer. Okay, and he tells that it's better, I don't want to go into the fight. What is the use of all this? I'll just retire. And secondly, and this conversation is right at the beginning, and he says that suppose we fight and I kill them, then what happens is that it causes a disbalance in dharma. Many things in the societal perspective of that era. This is one of the arguments he gives. What is the use of fighting against the gurujans and the relatives and all that? Better than that, let's just leave everything. So a philosophy, if there were a philosophy which would believe that the ultimate goal of life is retiring from life, then you'd say the best advice is that leave everything and go. But Krishna does just the opposite. He starts his conversation by saying that you speak like a pandit, like a scholarly man, but you don't you don't have that kind of depth of the reflection that in activity that a pandit actually has. So basically he's trying to say that your words are hollow. And then he slowly builds up an argument step by step that lasts for 18 chapters. First he says that you are a kshatriya. A kshatriya is a warrior. A warrior should not run away from the battlefield. Then he slowly explains the spiritual understanding of things. And in the text, in the middle, he explains karma yoga, what is the essence of activity without being attached to activity. Before that, in the chapter 2 itself, he goes and explains that who is a muni, who is a rishi, who is a spiritually elevated person. He is devoid of anger, devoid of hatred, who has a self-controlled mind, whose mind is single-pointedly devoted to the divine. That is a man of high intelligence. Like this, he gives various explanations. Then he elaborates on karma yoga. How do you attain that while you are in life? So he says that you perform your activities, perform what needs to be done, but do it with a certain degree of detachment. And once you do that, then your karma yoga slowly perfects. Then there is jnana that comes, knowledge, wisdom. Then in the course, he also explains that how to attain liberation from life completely, moksha, so that you don't come back again. Next, he even goes about the properties, the nature of the divine, the Vibhuti Yoga, which means that how the divine manifests as the best of all things. So that's a beautiful chapter, I think the 10th chapter of the Gita, where he's speaking in third person. He's saying that among the Vrishnis, Vrishni is the clan in which Krishna is born. Among the Vrishnis, I am Krishna. Among the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Okay. Among the Rudras, I am Shiva. Like this. Among the warriors, the generals, I am Skanda. And then he goes on, among the gamblers, I am the art of gambling. So basically, he's trying to say that in any given set, the best of that set is divine. And it could be anything. It did not be somebody. See, even gambling, he's using it as an example. What is the best thing in gambling? The art of gambling. The peak. That which is cut above the average. That excellence in life is always a manifestation of the divine. Okay. And then he shows his Vishwarupa, the cosmic form. Krishna shows his cosmic form. Arjuna then bows down to him, says he gets scared because he's never seen like that. And then surrenderance comes. Bhakti. So bhakti gets built. First there is karma yoga. Your activities in the life, you cannot run away from that. There's a beautiful sloka where Krishna says that there is nothing that I need to do. And yet he takes birth and he, as an avatara to help society to develop consciousness, he doesn't need to do anything. There's absolutely no obligation. He has no duty. We have duties. We have duties to our parents, this and that. We are not independent. Nobody is independent, right? But the divine is completely independent. Yet the divine manifests in this plane, helps society. So he says that the implication is that if the divine is doing it, then you also have your duties. You cannot run away from your duties. But you do your duties with a degree of detachment. You're not attached to anybody and anything. A part of you stands apart while you do what needs to be done. Okay. And as you keep doing that, there will be a manifestation of knowledge, jnana. So you will have what is called the Purusha and the Prakriti. Prakriti is your automated biological body and nature that comes from the natural birth that you get. And in that there is a soul that steps aside from it and observes. Every activity is being done, and yet there's a part of you that is standing apart and observing. That is the Purusha. Okay. And after that is Bhakti. When you see the divine, any form, any manner, any deity. And mind you, the Gita is such a powerful text. It is not only Krishna. If you are a worshipper of Kali, for example, you can as well in your mind replace that these conversations are happening between Kali and say as an Upasaka you. She's telling you this. It could be anybody. So that is why in the Vibhuti Yoga, he takes it to the third person. He's saying that among the Vrishnis, I am Krishna. Who speaks like that? Who speaks like? He's not saying, so he's saying I am among the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. So he's transcended his own, even the form of Krishna has transcended who he is. Okay. And like this, so bhakti comes when you have a divine experience. Then all these things immediately you surrender. After that, then there are various other explanations of asuric nature, daiva nature, all these explanations Krishna gives to him. What is the way of the world? He explains the importance of the scriptures, why it has to be followed. And he says that you have to follow the methods that have been given. Because if you don't do that, then you are following your own mind. So if you follow your own mind, you will not succeed in this path of sadhana. if your mind was capable enough, you would not need the advice in the first place. So that is why this is there. That is why this path has been set. And as you follow it, you develop yourself. Another important concept is that while the divine has both dharma and adharma, so the word dharma comes from a root which means to sustain. So that which sustains is dharma. Okay. So that worship of the deity sustains us, helps us to grow stronger in all qualities. So he says the divine, ultimate divine is balanced. It has a balanced eye. With a uniform eye, it looks at both black and white, dharma, adharma. But we cannot do that. We are in the world of duality. So you have to change, you have to differentiate between what is dharma, what is adharma, and stay away from adharma, because it is going to pull you down. Okay. So you follow the path of dharma and follow the scriptures, the mandated things. At the end of this full discourse, he tells to Arjuna that now that I've told you this great secret, now do what you wish to do. There's no force involved in this. The Gita has no force. He's not saying that now that I've given you this, so you go ahead and do this. This is a compulsory path. No, he says that now you contemplate and you decide what is the best thing you want to do. And by the end of the discourse, Arjuna decides that its duty is important. It's not enough. See, he's not saying that I need to run away from manifestation in the world. I have to be here, I have to perform the duty, but do it in a detached manner. In that, you will attain liberation.
Okay. The reason I think the Bhagavad Gita has become so popular on a world stage is because it answers a lot of modern day problems.
Yeah, but my take is that what I told you here, it will take a lot of time for somebody to understand this just by just reading the Gita. It's not a conclusion I reached in one reading of the Gita. Gita is a text that is meant for Vedanta. I repeat this. Gita is not a text meant for just upasana of a deity. It is a text meant for Vedanta. If you're suited for Vedanta, if somebody is temperamentally suited for Vedanta, then Gita is a fantastic text. I have seen people in my life who know the Gita by heart. Okay? 700 verses by heart. And yet, when the first tragedy strikes in life, they are completely clueless like any other average person. So my question is, what is the use of reading the Gita if you are not able to harmonize the teachings of the Gita? It is not meant for everybody. Because at the time when the Gita was made popular, it was popular, but it was popular among the Vedantins. At a time when there was a certain amount of, what it happens in a colonized state, the Hindu intellectuals and the others, they wanted one text which we could show that, see, it synthesizes our philosophy. The same questions that you have, it was even more. Today the world is at least well connected. That time the foreigners came in and they see that, oh, they're like completely clueless, what is happening, this and that. So they, no, we just have one text, we follow this. That is what happened with the Gita, and that went on till now with the basic understanding, given that Hindus don't read anything else. So they have assumed that the Gita is by default the only thumb rule text. No, there are other texts also. All are beautiful.